It's like having a travel agent in the palm of your hand, for free. And yeah, that technically makes it a free agent. Download the United app and book your next trip today. United, proud to be the official airline of the Golden State Warriors.
Kia is the official automotive partner of the NBA. And we think about basketball a lot. The plays, the swagger, the glory, the game. And how we can elevate our own game with capability that takes us to another level. And ground clearance that propels us even higher. The 3-row 2025 Kia Telluride X-Line all-wheel drive. Kia, official vehicle partner of the Golden State Warriors. Call 800-333-4KIA for details. Always drive safely. Limited inventory available.
Dub Nation, this is Brandon Pajemski. Welcome back to the Warriors broadcast booth, presented by DoorDash.
76ers were led by Tyrese Maxey, 35 points on 27 shots. Warriors off to Cleveland to take on the Cavaliers Saturday afternoon, 4 o'clock with the tip. Good night from Philly. 76ers 99, Warriors 98.
Kohl's Customer Appreciation Event is here, right in time for the gift exchange. Even though everyone pretends gifting isn't a competition, it kinda is. At Kohl's, save on gifts everyone will fight over. From sweaters and flannels to air fryers, toaster ovens, and more. Because deep down, the gift exchange isn't just about giving. It's also about winning. Shop Kohl's and save on top gifts now. Select styles, some exclusions apply. Offers end December 14th. See store or kohls.com for details.
RingCentral's AI receptionist uses voice AI to answer on the first ring, so you'll never miss a call again. In just a few minutes, you can personalize your own AI receptionist to answer questions, route calls, schedule appointments, and even send texts in multiple languages. Plus, it's easy to scale. Create unlimited AI receptionists across any phone system. It's all powered by one reliable platform for effortless AI communications. See for yourself at ringcentral.com. RingCentral, voice of your business.
1 in 8 women have thyroid issues.
Am I the one? I am kind of tired. I should see a doctor. Is it genetic? Does my health plan even cover tests like that? In-network? Out-of-network? Why is this always a whole big thing? Wait. I have Kaiser Permanente. So my coverage includes regular preventive care. Guess it doesn't have to be a whole big thing.
Kaiser Permanente. Healthcare that just works.
What do you think makes the perfect snack?
It's gotta be when I'm really craving it and it's convenient.
Could you be more specific?
When it's cravenient.
Okay.
Like a freshly baked cookie made with real butter, available right down the street at AM/PM, or a savory breakfast sandwich I can grab in just a second at AM/PM.
I'm seeing a pattern here.
Well, yeah, we're talking about what I crave.
Which is anything from AM/PM.
What more could you want?
Stop by AM/PM where the snacks and drinks are perfectly craveable and convenient. That's Cravenience. AM/PM, too much good stuff.
Thanks for showing up, Dub Nation. Nothing beats catching your Warriors live, and nobody knows that better than you. So next time you want to hit up a game, Ticketmaster's got your back. As the official ticket marketplace of the Warriors and the NBA, even if you're headed to the game last minute, Ticketmaster gets you to the game so you can experience all the sights, sounds, and styles in person. Keep putting that jersey collection to use and get Warriors tickets today at Ticketmaster. Get tickets at Ticketmaster.com/Warriors. See you courtside again soon, Dub Nation.
Dub Nation, NBC Sports Bay Area is your home for complete Warriors coverage. Catch Steph and the squad all season long as Bob Fitzgerald and Kalina Azubuike call all the action. Tune in to Warriors pre- and post-game live, hosted by me, Bonte Hill, alongside NBA champ Festus Ezeli and Hall of Famer Chris Mullen. 1 hour before and immediately after every single game. Plus nonstop Warriors content with the NBC Sports Bay Area app. Authentic moments live here on NBC Sports Bay Area.
The lights, the crowd, the moment. When the Warriors take the floor, greatness follows. At Cache Creek Casino Resort, every moment shines. Feel the rush as the reels spin. Breathe in our serene spa. Savor each bite in our award-winning steakhouse. And recharge in the comfort of our luxurious hotel. Cache Creek Casino Resort, proud partner of your Golden State Warriors. Please play responsibly.
Curry, pump fake, fly by, 3-ball, got it with the buzzer sounding!
You've been listening to Golden State Warriors basketball on the Warriors Radio Network. Presented by United Airlines. For tickets, visit Warriors.com or call 888-GSW-WHO.
You wish you were here.
What a wild game in Philadelphia. Warriors lose 99-98 to the 76ers. Welcome into Warriors Wrap-Up on 95.7 The Game. Mark Randy with you for, I don't know, at least the next hour. We got a lot to talk about. Who knows how long we're going to go tonight, because there is so much to talk about as it relates to this Warrior game. It felt like they just played 4 different games the way that this one went. It felt at first, and first of all, welcome in. Mark Randy with you. It's Warriors Wrap-Up here on 95.7 The Game on a Thursday evening. If you want to weigh in, give us a call, shoot us a text, 888-957-9570. This might have been the most unique game, not just of the Warriors season, but maybe of the NBA season. Warriors down Steph Curry, down Jimmy Butler. Both did not play in this game. They lose Draymond Green in the first half. He does not play the entire second half. They get down by 20 in the first quarter. This game felt over 5 minutes in. The Warriors were stuck on 5 points for over 7 minutes of basketball. It was the longest scoreless streak in the NBA this season, not just without a made field goal, but no points over the course of like 7.5 minutes, stuck on 5 total points for the first quarter. They ultimately finished with 10, down 30-10, down by 20 after the first quarter, got down by as many as 24 points in the third quarter, were down by 18 early in the fourth quarter, yet they came back and they should have won this basketball game. Without Steph, without Jimmy, without Draymond, led by Pat Spencer for the second straight game, was one of, if not the best Warrior on the floor tonight. Led by D'Anthony Melton in his return, playing in his first NBA game in 13 months. Led by Quentin Post, who had a good second half. Led by actually a positive Buddy Hield game. Led by the way, the benching of Brandon Pajemski and Jonathan Kuminga, both of whom did not play a single second in the fourth quarter. The Warriors could have very easily, and dare I say, should have won this basketball game, because they had the ball in the final seconds of this game with the lead. After some crazy reviews, challenges, overturns of calls, maybe a strange foul call, no foul call, whatever it was, they turned the ball over. They can't inbound the ball. And then they kind of catch a little bit of bad luck because D'Anthony Melton covers Tyrese Maxey, the 76ers superstar, and forces him into a really tough fading away, leaning to the right, deep 2 jumper, which is an air ball, but the electric Philly rookie VJ Edgecombe collects the air ball, puts it up and in one motion, gives Philly the lead. A great Buddy Hield outlet pass as there's like a second left in the game. Finds D'Anthony Melton streaking down the floor, looking like for a second he might get a layup off the glass as time expires. Never really cleanly caught it. Tried to kind of shovel it up towards the rim. Blocked by Tyrese Maxey at the buzzer. Game over. Warriors lose 99-98. That's the really quick Cliff Notes that I can give you here on Warriors Wrap-Up. That Warriors loss. I mean, we went through, and for the majority of the game, we suffered through some of the worst basketball the Warriors have played in a really long time. Yet, they could have easily won this basketball game, and Philly isn't a great team, and Joel Embiid is banged up. He only played 25 minutes in this game and was not really in there to close much. Paul George is out. He's missed a lot of time so far this year, but Tyrese Maxey is a hell of a basketball player, averaging the 3rd most points per game in the NBA this year. That went up today with 35 points. They didn't get a whole lot from anybody else. This is not a slouch, though, and you're on the road, down your 2 best players for the entire game, and arguably your 3rd best player, not arguably, I think he is, Draymond Green, your 3rd best player for the entire second half, and he wasn't really all that great in the first half either. And then also, the guys that you would probably first point to, or at least the guys that the team you think would point to as guys that should pick up the slack when Steph and Draymond and Jimmy are out, they get benched and they don't play in the fourth quarter. And that's Jonathan Kuminga and Brandon Pajemski. All of that, and the Warriors should have won this basketball game. I don't really know what to make of it. One of the more wild basketball games that I've watched in quite a long time. Warriors ultimately lose by 99-98. There's some good. I mean, Pat Spencer was amazing again. D'Anthony Melton looked like the player that I think he is. And if he can stay healthy, he's going to be a major, major plus for the Warriors. But man, I cannot get over how ugly that first half was. I cannot get over how bad that first half was. And, if you're more encouraged by what the fourth quarter specifically was, or if you're more discouraged by how bad the first half was, and specifically the first quarter, give me a call and let me know. 888-957-9570. Again, 888-957-9570 if you want to weigh in. These are the kinds of games that are interesting. In my mind, obviously the Warriors are now 11-12. You need to start stacking wins at some point, or you're going to dig yourselves too big of a hole to climb out of, and you're going to be in a similar spot that you were last year, where you had to play, you felt like, postseason games in the regular season just to make the play-in or the postseason. You're going to have to start picking things up here pretty quick. Still a lot of time, but wins and losses, of course, are going to matter. But when you're playing in a game like this, where you don't have Steph and you don't have Jimmy, and you're up against not just a bottom feeder, in my mind, I kind of put the result just a little bit to the back burner. And I just say, all right, let's see who steps up. Let's see who is ready to maybe take a leap. Let's see who kind of forces their will upon this game and says, all right, we're down our alphas. I'm next in line. I'm the alpha. This is what we're going to do. I'm going to lead the way. That's kind of what I look for. And I just saw everyone on this Warrior team, specifically in the first quarter, the guys that were getting run in the first quarter, absolutely wilt under that pressure. Absolutely wilt under that pressure. In the first quarter of this basketball game, Brandon Pajemski went 0 for 5, all from 3. He was a minus 16, and that's not, all on him. Jonathan Kuminga played 7.5 minutes. He was 1 for 5, made a 3, was minus 18. For all the talk that these guys do, for all the talk that Brandon Pajemski does about wanting to be the guy that the Warriors hand the reins to, hand the key to the organization to, once Steph and Jimmy and Draymond ride off into the sunset, and once Steve Kerr maybe is no longer the head coach, he wants to be the guy next in line. He wants to be the next face of the franchise. Well, tonight was your opportunity. Tonight was your opportunity to show maybe you're not totally ready for that just yet, but hey, I'm the guy you can lean on. And when those guys are down, I'm going to lead the way. But Steph's out. Jimmy's out. Draymond misses the entire second half. And Brandon Pajemski gets benched in the fourth quarter. That's how bad he played. It was one of the worst basketball games I've ever seen him play. Missing everything that he took. Could not take care of the ball. Not even doing the small things that well that I think he normally does. And then the same thing goes for Jonathan Kuminga. I don't know what is happening in Jonathan Kuminga's head, and I'm not going to pretend or assume what's going on there, but Jonathan Kuminga is also not taking, taking on the task that you felt like he might. He's a guy who has spent the last year of his life begging for more minutes and more opportunity and a bigger role and more responsibility. And he wants to be the guy. He wants to be a featured scorer every single night. And you can be frustrated that it hasn't happened yet. And frankly, oftentimes, I don't really blame you. But when you have an opportunity like tonight, again, down Steph, down Jimmy, Draymond doesn't play for the second half, you need to take advantage. And if you can't take advantage in these moments, then when the hell are you going to take advantage? When are you gonna? And Jonathan Kuminga also played one of the worst games that I've seen him play in his career tonight. You got nothing from those guys, and I credit Steve Kerr. I applaud Steve Kerr for having the guts to say, no, you two are sitting on the bench for this fourth quarter. Because it almost won the Warriors the basketball game. And honestly, I kind of hate that I'm focusing on the negative here to begin, because there was some awesome basketball the Warriors played down the stretch. But man, it's hard to look past how bad Pajemski and Kuminga were. And at times this season, how bad they've been, not just tonight, but over the course of a decent amount of basketball. Pajemski last 3 games, pretty darn good, honestly. I thought he was great on Tuesday. And it's a shame that we remember the missed three and the turnover that happened in the fourth quarter right when he came in for Pat Spencer. That's all fair. We can be upset at some of the substitution patterns. We can also admit that I think Podziemski had a pretty good game before that. Today, though, was entirely different. He was terrible today, and I guarantee you he would say the same thing. A game in which you lose by 1, Podziemski a -20, Kuminga a -18, Draymond Green a -10. Look at some of the others. How about what Pat Spencer did in this basketball game? He was a +17 in a game in which the Warriors lost by 1. And I know plus-minus in a single game is not everything, but that tells you something. That tells you when Pat Spencer was on the floor, the Warriors did well. Pat Spencer and Steve Kerr talking postgame. We're going to hear it coming up in just a little bit. He sent a message to the front office with what he said postgame. We're going to hear Steve Kerr coming up a little bit later on. What I can tell you is he was asked about Pat Spencer tonight, and he said, quote, "It'd be nice to get him on the roster." That to me sounds like a, hey, Mike Dunleavy, hey, everyone, let's make sure that we have this guy for a full 82. I guess he's on a two-way deal, and there will come a time, if he's still on a two-way deal, where the Warriors don't have any more eligibility for Pat Spencer this season. And the way Pat Spencer is playing, I've been saying it for a long time. Now, I haven't gone as far as saying Pat Spencer should get like every game, regular rotation minutes and playing 20 minutes a night or anything like that. What you've heard me say over and over and over again is specifically when Steph's out, the offense runs better with Pat Spencer on the floor. He's one of the few Warriors that can penetrate the paint and either score down low with his own shot. He's got a variety of shots, or, kick out. And then after his drive, the defense collapses, you have an opening somewhere else. The Warriors right now have too many guys that cannot create for themselves or others. They rely on the creation from others. They rely on others creating advantages, and then they might be able to take advantage of that created advantage. But there's very few Warriors. If your name isn't Steph, and if your name isn't Jimmy, there's very few others, Warriors, that can actually create an advantage. Pat Spencer is. And when Pat Spencer is on the floor, largely good things happen, and that was the case today. He was awesome in this basketball game, and he's feeling himself as well. He's feeling himself. He had a three-pointer to put the Warriors up 4 with 1:15 left. And by the way the final minute of this game played out, it felt like it took an hour to play the final 60 seconds of this basketball game. But Pat Spencer hit a deep three from the left wing to put the Warriors up 4, 98-94 with 1:15 left. And he's running back down the floor the other way. And the cameras caught this on NBC Sports Bay Area, screaming, "I'm that mother bleeper." It did not take an expert lip reader to understand what he was saying. I'm that mother bleeper. And that might have also been a message to Steve Kerr. Hey, Steve, don't bench me. Don't pull me out. I'm on fire. Keep me in there. And I feel pretty confident the next time a situation like this presents itself again, Steve Kerr is going to, at the very least, think real long and hard about it, because Pat Spencer, for consecutive games now, has been, if not the best, one of the Warriors' 2 best players on the floor for consecutive games. Not to say that it was a one-man wrecking crew by Pat Spencer tonight. I mean, in the fourth quarter specifically, when the Warriors were at their best, they won that fourth quarter 32-19. 32-19 for the Warriors in the fourth quarter. In the fourth quarter specifically for the Warriors, Pat Spencer scored 12 of those 32 points, but you got 6 from Buddy Hield, 6 from Quentin Post, 4 from D'Anthony Melton, 4 from Guy Santos. You got some contributions elsewhere. You shot 12 for 23 from the field. The most impressive, though, was what they did defensively. And frankly, all game long, the Warriors defensively were not bad, which was kind of crazy, considering you were down by 20 points for what felt like the majority of this basketball game, yet your defense was actually okay. I mean, overall in this one, Tyrese Maxey gets 35. No other Sixer scored more than 12. They shot 46% from the field, which that's an okay amount, but you can live with them only scoring 99 points. That is a major, major win. And it's why I've stuck by this. And I know it was unpopular, and I know Steve Kerr got a lot of sideways looks when he said this. He was more concerned, and still is, about the Warriors' offense than their defense. And I said it early in the year as well, because I think even though the Warriors lack size and they don't have a true big that they like to play a lot of minutes, maybe Quentin Post is kind of coming out of his shooting slump. He was much better today, hit a couple of big threes in the second half. Quentin Post finished with 10 points on 8 shots, made 2 of 4 from deep. He was better today. There's no doubt about it. They still don't have like a true 7-footer that they're comfortable playing 30 minutes a night with. And Draymond Green is playing far too many minutes at the 5 for my liking, and I think for Steve Kerr's liking. So something's got to give at that point. Just a name I will throw out there, and this does not need to be like a rumors post-game show, but you saw what the Clippers did with Chris Paul, and if the Clippers continue just absolutely teetering on the brink of disaster, maybe you make a phone call and see if the Clippers are willing to part ways with Ivica Zubac, because that is a big the Warriors would play 30-plus minutes every single night alongside Draymond Green. That's not really my point here. The Warriors, despite all of that, despite their lack of size, despite the fact that we have talked for hours here on these post-game wrap-up, on Warriors wrap-up this year, about how they can't keep ball handlers in front of them, and they have a lot of defensive problems. Despite all of that, the Warriors, I still think their bigger issues are on the offensive end, and it really gets heightened, of course, when Steph's out. But it's just easier to see what the issues are because you don't have the Steph minutes to kind of hide them. Steph could be going off. He could score 40 points, and the Warriors could score 118 points, which is an all right number in today's NBA. And you could leave the game saying, well, they scored 118, but they gave up 116. That's still not very good defensively either. Like, my point is, Steph just hides so much. And whether or not Steph is available to play in a game or not, you still have to survive those non-Steph minutes. And in the non-Steph minutes, offense is so hard to come by at times. And we've seen that when Steph misses games. They scored 98 points tonight. They allowed 99. They lost this basketball game. Anytime you allow sub 100 in today's NBA, you should win that game probably by double digits. The Warriors lose this game by 1 because they scored 98 points. Offense, defense, neither side is perfect. I'm just more concerned about the Warriors' offense going forward. Now, someone like Pat Spencer does have the ability to spark your offense. He played in this game a total of 24 minutes. 12 of them came in the fourth quarter. He played every second of the fourth quarter. Steve Kerr did not pull him. In the fourth quarter. He learned from what happened on Tuesday. Again, applause to Steve Kerr. I gave Steve Kerr credit. I didn't think Kuminga deserved fourth quarter minutes on Tuesday, but I also said, hey, Steve, you know what? I thought Podziemski deserved fourth quarter minutes, but I also think you should have kept Pat Spencer in there as well. Maybe you make room for both of them on the floor at the same time, which is a little tough defensively. I get it, but they're the way that you're getting a lot of your offensive action right now. Find a way to keep both of them on the floor. I can at the same time say, all right, Steve Kerr, I applaud you for taking into account what happened on Tuesday, realizing the way that guy was playing today and keeping him in there for a full 12 minutes, and it nearly was enough to win the Warriors the basketball game. Maybe the next step is instead of playing Pat only 12 minutes through the first 3 quarters, especially in games where Steph is out, it's, all right, Pat, you're going to get closer to 30 minutes over the course of the entire game instead of 24, half of them coming in the fourth quarter. Maybe a few more Pat Spencer minutes in the first half would have won the Warriors the basketball game. Who knows? But Pat Spencer was amazing in this one. And how about DeAnthony Melton? Melton scored 14 points in his return. It's going to get lost because the Warriors still lost this basketball game, and there was the Edgecombe. I mean, what a play by the rookie, VJ Edgecombe, following the air ball missed by Tyrese Maxey just before the buzzer, in one motion, catches the air ball and lays it up and in to give the Sixers a lead. You know who forced the air ball? It was DeAnthony Melton. Great defense on that final possession by Melton to force that air ball of Tyrese Maxey. Not an easy cover. You see, I think it was in the fourth quarter. Yeah, it was in the fourth quarter earlier how Maxey shook Buddy Hield almost out of his shoes to get off a little mid-range jumper just beyond the free throw line. Like, he's not an easy guy to cover. And you feel pretty good if you're the Warriors that it's going to be Maxey taking that shot down the stretch. But still, what a defender Melton is, and what a player that he is. and it was great to see him back. I honestly was surprised how good he looked. He played 21 minutes. I was talking pregame somewhere probably between like 16 to 22 minutes was the number that I recommended, I suggested. He played 21 minutes and 3 seconds today. Probably, in my mind, Steve Kerr played him a little bit more than he initially planned. Considering how tight the game was down the stretch, he probably said, you know what, Melt? Like, get back out there. Melton was out there. Let me make sure I get the lineup exactly right, because the Warriors trotted out there. It was Melton along with Spencer, Will Richard, Guy Santos, and Quentin Post. That was the five that closed, that began kind of closing the quarter. Then Buddy Hield came in for Melton and gave him a little bit of a rest middle of the fourth quarter. Then Melton came back in and replaced Will Richard. So the five the Warriors officially closed with over the final minute plus. And there were a couple of offense-defense substitutions. But it was Melton, Pat Spencer, Buddy Hield, Guy Santos, and Quentin Post. But there was also some Will Richard mixed in there as well. And considering how everybody played today, I mean, I can't really poke a hole in many of those decisions. I thought those guys deserved to close. Maybe some Al Horford here or there. I mean, he was back, but you don't want to play him too much. He did struggle from the field largely, though. I think what he does defensively on the glass, and what he does as a passer is a good thing. But other than maybe playing Pat Spencer a little bit more earlier in the game, I can't really find much to be upset about Steve Kerr for. I think the big picture decisions that he made in this game, i.e. benching Podziemski and benching Kuminga, who did not play in the fourth quarter at all, those were gutsy decisions, and they were the right decisions, and they were immediately repaid. Like the guys that Steve Kerr turned to in favor of Kuminga and Podziemski immediately repaid Kerr for his faith in them. And it's a reason why the Warriors outscored the 76ers 32-19 in that fourth quarter and nearly won this game. They should have won this game. They absolutely should have won this game, which is crazy considering how bad they were. Okay, let's just look through the first quarter. The first quarter was about as ugly as I've seen the Warriors play basketball, maybe like since, 2004. Like, this was ugly, ugly basketball. You think maybe the COVID year, right before COVID hit, when the Warriors were down Steph, who had that hand injury, and Clay was out for the entire season, and they basically got to a point where they were okay with losing, and they eventually got the number 2 overall pick. That was pretty ugly, right? But you could kind of understand it, and you could see it coming, and it was just ugly, and it was the whole season, and pretty quickly you just kind of accepted it. What this first quarter was just hard to watch basketball. The Warriors scored 10 points. It was 5-5 relatively early in the quarter. Then the Sixers went on a 22-0 run. 22-0 run. They led 27-5 in the first quarter. The Warriors could not make a shot. The Warriors ultimately made a 3, and then they got a steal and a layup late in that first quarter to get to 10 points on the quarter. They were down 30-10 after one. The Warriors went 4 for 25 from the field, 16% from the field. They went 2 for 16 from deep in the first quarter. They turned it over 4 times, which in and of itself isn't a terrible number, but those 4 turnovers were like all live ball turnovers, and they led to 10 76ers points off of turnovers. That is crazy efficiency, by the way. 10 points off of 4 turnovers. That's 2 possessions off of turnovers that end in a 3 for 6 points, and then the other 2 end in 2 points. That is, on average, 2.5 points per possession off of turnovers. That is incredible. Every Warrior turnover early was immediate points for the Sixers the other way. 10 points in the first quarter. That's the Warriors' lowest scoring quarter of the season in any quarter, first, second, third, or fourth. 10 points is the lowest scoring first quarter across the entire NBA season. 10 points in the first quarter tonight, the lowest the Warriors have scored in any quarter in the Steve Kerr era. Historically bad from the Warriors. Historically bad. And how about this? I can extend that all the way to the first half as well. The Warriors in the first half scored just 34 points. They were 14 for 47 from the field. They were 6 for 22 from the three-point line. That's a true shooting percentage. And if you don't know how true shooting percentage is calculated, just think of it as a shooting percentage number that also takes into account the fact that a 3-point shot is worth 50% more than a 2-point shot. So, if you were to shoot, say, 2 for 6 from 3, that's 6 points on 6 shots. That's the same as going 3 for 6 from the field because you're still getting the same amount of points on those makes. So a 33% shot from a percentage from 3-point land is the same as going 50% from 3. So that benefit, the fact that a 3-point shot is worth more than a 2-point shot, just of course based on the number of points that they're worth, that is factored in to true shooting percentage. The Warriors in the first half, their true shooting percentage was 35.4%. That is the worst true shooting percentage for any team in the NBA in any half this season. Any NBA team, any half, no team had a worse shooting half than the Warriors did in the first half tonight. That's how bad it was. And it was bad. 30-10 in the first quarter in favor of the Sixers. Second quarter wasn't really all that bad, 26-24 Philadelphia, but that first quarter was some of the ugliest basketball I've ever seen. How many lazy, lackadaisical, frankly just stupid turnovers could the Warriors do? How many times would they have the ball after getting a defensive rebound, they got the stop, and they're just kind of casually dribbling the ball up the floor, and they throw a cross-court pass in the backcourt with Maxey or whoever else is lurking. They poke the ball away, and it leads to a fast break bucket. Kuminga did it once. I think, honestly, Pat Spencer did it once. Pat Spencer largely was very good in this game, but that was a bad decision by him. Podziemski might have did it once. I didn't keep track of exactly who did all of them, but I think there were like 4 or 5 times where that happened, and I feel like every single one of them led to Sixers points on the other end. It just felt like a bunch of these Warriors players had little interest in winning this basketball game, little interest in competing in this basketball game. Where was the pride in the first half? Specifically that first quarter. Where was it? It was embarrassing what that game was early. Embarrassing. Now, for how bad it was early, it was pretty darn fun late. I mean, in a lot of ways, it was pretty similar to the OKC game on Tuesday. Now, OKC is 10 times the opponent that Philadelphia is. You were also at home, but OKC is an amazing basketball team. For how bad it was early, it was pretty fun late. But some of the guys that you would expect to turn to, again, down Steph, down Jimmy, no Draymond in the second half, but even if Draymond's playing, he's not the guy that's going to take over offensively and is going to score 30 and will you to victory. Now, he's going to distribute, he's going to get you set up, and he's going to make sure you get good looks, but who is going to take the onus on themselves and lead this team offensively? You probably first, in some combination, you're looking to Kuminga and to Podziemski, and those two epically failed tonight. Now, that does not mean that they cannot be successful players going forward. But man, if you are those guys and you hear the talk, and specifically Podziemski, who it feels like is it's nowhere near universal, but draws the ire of so many Warrior fans, and this is your opportunity to say, you know what? All right, down Steph, down Jimmy. All right, I'm going to have myself a game. Goes 0 for 5 in like the first 3 minutes of this game, all from deep, and then gets benched in the fourth quarter. If you're Kuminga, who is just dying for more opportunity, and frankly, I would not be shocked if the results of the last couple of games kind of increases his desire to maybe get traded and leave this franchise. But you get an opportunity today to kind of be the reason, the offensive driving force behind the Warriors game, and you put up that kind of stinker today. I mean, it was just disheartening. It was disheartening. The two guys that you would expect to turn to not only can't step into that role and struggle to do it, but they perform so poorly that they get benched and don't play in the fourth quarter entirely. My God. But it was Pat Spencer. It was D'Anthony Melton. It was Buddy Hield. It was Quentin Post. It was Will Richard. It was, a number of others stepped up and played pretty darn good basketball. All right. Let's take a break. I've been screaming for too much. Let's take a deep breath. Let's calm down. We'll hear from Steve Kerr. We'll keep talking this one out. Again, if you want to join the conversation, 888-957-9570. That's also the Boxer and Gerson Work Injury Attorneys text line. And I got the YouTube chat up, youtube.com/957thegame. Let's keep it going. All right, it's Warriors wrap up. Dubs lose to the Sixers 99-98. The Warriors now 11-12 on the season. They're below 500 for the first time this year. Warriors are below 500. Time for a break. More Warriors wrap up coming up next on 95.7 The Game.
What's your financial future look like? At Pettinelli Financial Partners, we help you shape it. Whether you're planning for retirement, buying a home, or saving for something special, our professionals are here to provide clear guidance and smart strategies. Visit PettinelliFP.com today and take the first step toward a more secure financial future. The financial consultants at Pettinelli Financial Partners are registered representatives with and securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advice offered through Stratos Wealth Partners, a registered investment advisor. Stratos and Pettinelli are separate entities from LPL Financial.
Ready for the ultimate red and gold game day? Laughing Monk Brewing is the place to park, party, and ride. Skip the traffic. Forget the expensive parking. Park for free and dive into an epic tailgate with mouth-watering food, ice-cold Laughing Monk beer, and every game on TV. Catch 95.7 The Game's pregame show with Lorenzo Neal and Evan Giddings. Then hop on the free shuttle minutes away from the stadium. Shuttles are first come, first served. So head to 957thegame.com to sign up and join the party.
You know that Big Bargain detergent jug is 80% water, right? It doesn't clean as well.
80% water? I thought I was getting a better deal because it's so big.
If you want a better clean, Tide Pods are only 12% water. The rest is pure, concentrated cleaning ingredients.
Oh, let me make an announcement.
Attention shoppers, if you want a real deal, try Tide Pods.
Stop paying for watered-down detergents. Pay for clean. If it's gotta be clean, it's gotta be Tide Pods. Water content based on the leading bargain liquid detergent.
Makita knows that pros never settle, and neither do we. With Makita, you get tools that perform at the highest level on every job without compromise. Makita is for the most detailed pros, expertly engineered to deliver precision, job after job. When your work calls for the best, call on Makita. Makita, built to be the best. Available at the Home Depot.
What if you could have reliable and intelligent Wi-Fi? And get this, what if you could keep it at the same price for 5 years? That's the Xfinity 5-year price guarantee. 5 years of Wi-Fi that boosts speeds to the devices that need them most. That finds and fixes problems before you even notice them. Like super intelligent Wi-Fi with a sixth sense. And that keeps you gaming in the fast lane, even when the whole family's banking on bandwidth. All your devices working in perfect harmony for 5 whole years. And here's the best part. No annual contracts, no hidden fees, and our best equipment included. Hey, let's face it, a lot can change in 5 years. Kids grow taller, dreams grow bigger. But your Wi-Fi? It would stay reliable and the price would stay put. The Xfinity 5-year price guarantee. Lock in your price and unlock the possibilities. Xfinity. Imagine that. Select plans only. Restrictions apply.
The following is an attorney advertisement. If you get sidelined by your workplace injury, the workers' compensation attorneys at Boxer and Gerson can help you get back in the game. Our team of skilled attorneys will fight by your side for the treatment and compensation you deserve. We care about justice for injured workers. That's what makes us Northern California's premier workers' comp law firm. Call Boxer and Gerson at 510-835-8870 or visit boxerlaw.com for a free consultation. Boxer and Gerson, your life is worth the fight.
Running a business means wearing multiple hats. So if you're like me, you probably started out using your personal phone, taking client calls and texts nonstop. As my business grew, I needed something smarter. That's when I switched to Quo, the #1 business phone system. Quo works right on your phone or computer. No carrying 2 phones, no clunky landline, just one easy app you can try for free. Your team can share one number and handle calls and texts together like a shared inbox. Any teammate can jump into the conversation, so customers get faster responses. And Quo's AI assistant summarizes your calls and responds to customers 24/7, so you never miss a lead or opportunity. All this starts at just $15 a month. That's basically 2 coffees. You can even keep your current business phone number. Find out why 90,000 businesses trust Quo. No missed calls, no missed customers. Try Quo for free at quo.com/sports. That's quo.com/sports to try Quo free.
QUO.com/SPORTS.
This is the story of the one. As an HVAC technician, he and his digital multimeter are in high demand. So when a noisy office HVAC turns out to be a failing blower motor, he doesn't break a sweat. With Grainger's easy-to-use website and product information, he selects the product he needs to keep everything humming right along. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm, and Chuck McDowell, definitely not an attorney. This is Chuck. Do you feel stupid for buying a timeshare? Don't. It's not your fault. You were most likely told you could rent it, and it was a great financial investment. And the deal was available today only. If this happened to you, contact your resort or Wesley Financial Group for help today.
Call Wesley now for your free exit information kit. 800-242-3131. 800-242-3131.
Now to Buddy Hield. Good pressure by Grimes. Hield floats it to Santos on the baseline. He spins with one, goes up with a layup. He scores with a shot clock buzzer going to 0. Guy Santos with ice water in his veins makes it 95-92 Warriors. Oh my goodness.
Now back to Warriors Wrap Up on 95.7 The Game.
That Guy Santos spin move on the baseline and then reverse layup. Oh man, that was pretty. Might have been the best bucket of Guy Santos's career, just in terms of prettiness and level of difficulty it was to get the shot off in the first place. Man, yeah. I mean, there was a lot of individual performances that you felt pretty good about if you're a Warrior. They just weren't from the guys that you expected them to come from. Quentin Post, he closed. He was great. Buddy Hield looked a whole lot better tonight. Maybe it's because DeAnthony Melton, I don't know, but he looked good. Melton was so much better than I was expecting. He was maybe a little rusty early with the shot, but you saw what the defense did, the pressure that he could put on the perimeter. The Warriors, by the way, a big part of the reason why they were in this basketball game was because of the turnovers. They committed just 13, which is a number that Steve Kerr, I think, will be happy with. Philadelphia committed 19. And let me look what the number was in the second half specifically when the Warriors kind of turned this thing around. In the second half, it was 13 turnovers for Philly and 6 for the Warriors. Yeah, this was a whole lot better in the second half for the Warriors, and that's a big reason why in the second half they got back in this basketball game. They took care of the ball, and they forced turnovers. Really, this is a pretty simple math problem for the Warriors. It's take care of the ball and you will play well. And the Warriors got in some trouble turning the ball over. I mean, 13 turnovers, 6 were by Podziemski and Kuminga. 6 of them. And those guys did not play a whole lot of basketball tonight. Those two combined for a little less than 40 minutes, and there were 6 turnovers combined. That means everybody else that played, that's what? There's 240 minutes to give out over the course of a basketball game. 48 minutes per game times 5 spots. 240 minutes. That means there were 200 other minutes played by Warriors players not named Podziemski and Kuminga. And over the course of those 200 minutes, those other Warriors players committed just 7 turnovers. And it's probably reason number one why if you get an honest answer out of Steve Kerr as to why those guys, Podziemski and Kuminga, did not play in the fourth quarter, I've been calling it a benching. I don't think it means much for next game. Those guys will be right back in the rotation. Podziemski will in all likelihood start again. Neither of those guys, I think, are on the precipice of this bad performance, meaning they're out of the rotation entirely. Specifically not Podziemski, who's been starting often, and I think without Steph is kind of a lock to start. And Steph's going to miss the rest of the road trip at least, which is 2 more games. Saturday in Cleveland, and then a Sunday in Chicago, a back-to-back there, Saturday, Sunday. So this is just about this one game and how they were playing. But if you get an honest answer out of Steve Kerr, when you ask the question, why weren't those guys playing in the fourth, they'll probably say, well, they were not taking care of the basketball. It's as simple as that. You take care of the ball, you're going to play well, and you're going to play a lot of minutes, and you're going to win basketball games. The Warriors, in the second half, turned the ball over 9 times. The Sixers turned the ball over 18 times, and the Warriors won the second half by 21 points. 64-43. The Warriors had the advantage in the second half. Yet they lost, but they were so much better in that second half. All right. Let's keep it rolling here on Warriors Wrap-Up. 888-957-9570. If you want to weigh in, give me a call. 888-957-9570. Pat Spencer, do you feel like he's earned the right to be a normal rotation piece? Because up to this point, he essentially only plays non-garbage time minutes when Steph's out. Should that change? Are you ready to say Pat Spencer should be playing regular minutes over someone like a Podziemski? At least, should he be taking some of Podziemski's minutes away? And by the way, I've said this as well, and I'm going to get to Steve Kerr. I do have this habit of saying I'm going to do something and then get trailed off on a thought. We're going to get to Kerr in a sec. One thing that I have said when it's been about Podziemski's struggles this year, and he has struggled this year. Last 3 games before tonight, largely, I think he was pretty good. But overall this season, I think we can be honest and say that he's been disappointing. And I'm sure he would say the same. He has not taken any kind of leap that I think a lot of people in the organization were counting on him to make. It has not happened. It just simply has not happened for Podziemski. Kuminga was awesome to begin the season. But before his injury, and of course since he's come back from that injury, he has not been good at all either. What I will say is De'Anthony Melton coming back is one thing I always pointed to as, well, when Melton comes back, that's when you could see Podziemski's minutes begin to dip a little bit. Because before Melton, you could say Podziemski's, and this is not my opinion, you could say Podziemski's one of the worst players on the Warriors. You could say that. And I'd argue with you, but you could have that opinion. And you could ask, well, if that's the case, why is he getting so many minutes? And I would answer, well, there's just not a lot of other guys on the Warriors roster that you can count on to do some of the things Podziemski does. You want him to be a better scorer and you want him to be a better defender, but just ball handle, dribble the ball, get you into your sets offensively, take care of the ball, avoid turnovers. He was bad at that today. Normally, he's pretty good at that. You got to give him credit for that at least. And people will say, why doesn't Kuminga get the minutes Podziemski does? They play entirely different positions. Kuminga's got to get in front of players like Moses Moody and Jimmy Butler, right? Podziemski maybe now he's competing with Pat Spencer, but Pat Spencer before the last couple of games was largely just a garbage time guy. Although we've seen flashes, we talked about that here on Warriors Wrap-Up. But now with Melton back, honestly, by the time Melton is ready to go and he's playing, his upwards of 28 minutes a night, maybe even 30 minutes a night, if he's feeling good and he's healthy, I would expect Melton to start alongside Steph, and I would expect oftentimes Melton would be closing alongside Steph. That's how highly I think of Melton, and where are those 30 minutes a night going to come from? One of the prime candidates, especially if he continues to struggle, is Podziemski. The other is Buddy Hield. There are other places that this can come from, but I don't think really until now there was a good person to take those minutes from him. You could be upset he's getting those minutes, but I didn't think there was any realistic guy to say, all right, he's who we should give those minutes to. For me, that changes now with Melton back, and I thought Melton was great today. So we can continue talking about that. Right now, we'll go to Steve Kerr, but if you want to get in line, give us a call, 888-957-9570. Here is Steve Kerr, post-game in Philly after the Warriors lost a crazy game, 99-98 versus the Sixers. Warriors down by as many as 24 early in the second half. They were down 18 early in the fourth. They went on a 15-0 run. They built a 4-point lead led by Pat Spencer and company, yet they lose this one in heartbreaking fashion at the buzzer. Here is Steve Kerr postgame tonight.
The effort was phenomenal. Felt like we really deserved to win, and I feel terrible for the guys that we couldn't hang on because the effort, the energy, the commitment. Guy hasn't played in a couple of weeks, and play him the whole fourth quarter. He's like a plus 17 or something. I mean, showing what he did last year. At the end of the year, and the way Pat, got us into our offense and got downhill on pick and roll and distributed the ball, and the way the guys fought. So good to have Melt back. Watching him compete, out there and QP, it was a beautiful effort, and it's just a shame we couldn't finish it off.
In some similar situations the other night, you didn't close with Pat, you did tonight. Is that just kind of accumulated trust that he's gained, and you stayed with Pat?
Yeah. Tonight was a no-brainer. The other night was a tricky decision, but tonight was obvious. Pat was just incredible out there and controlled the game, and he's just about the right stuff. It's organizationally, you just want to stand for something. You want to have an identity, and it's got to be about competitive spirit and just playing together and competing, and that's what was so beautiful about what that group did down the stretch.
Have you had a chance to talk to Draymond at all? Or?
No.
You praised Pat repeatedly throughout the year, but especially in the last couple of nights. Right now, without Steph, Jimmy, maybe Draymond, are we to a point where he's earned more minutes in the short term?
Yeah, I mean, he played 24 tonight, maybe 22 the other night. So without Steph, for sure, he's got to be out there, and it'll be great to find a way to get him on the roster because he's kind of the perfect guy to have, as a backup. He can win you games like he almost did tonight, but if he doesn't play, he brings the same energy, the same attitude the next game, and so be great if we could find a way, but it's a little tricky.
These nights, are supposed to kind of be the nights that Brandon, Moses, J.K. kind of were the ones to potentially lift y'all up. They've struggled lately in these type of series. What are you seeing with those three? Obviously, you didn't close with them tonight. The stats weren't good.
Every game's different. So tonight was about the other group. Next game could be about those three. So you just roll from game to game and do what you can to try to win the game. And that's why we have 15, 17 players, But if you include our two-ways, like we got a lot of guys who can play, and I think we played 14 people tonight. So, we believe in our depth, and we know that a lot of guys can help us win.
All right, that's Steve Kerr post-game tonight in Philadelphia as the Warriors lose to the 76ers 99-98 in heartbreaking fashion. Warriors down by as many as 24, down 22 at half, down 18 early fourth. They dominate the majority of the fourth quarter. They ultimately have a 4-point lead in the fourth quarter, yet it slips away at the buzzer. They had the ball up one, final 10 seconds, turn the ball over on the inbound. D'Anthony Melton forces an air ball by Tyrese Maxey a few seconds before the buzzer, but the rookie out of Baylor, VJ Edgecombe, an amazing play, and it's always tough to box out on an air ball, but Edgecombe races in there, grabs the offensive rebound, all in one motion, puts it up and in. They go up by one. An amazing play by Buddy Hield, which I think is going to get overlooked because the Warriors lose this game, but Buddy Hield, a picture-perfect inbound pass, like he was Brock Purdy, steps out of bounds, one hand, unleashes a dime down the field to a streaking Melton, like he's Ricky Pearsall running a seam route, and it gets right to him. Melton, though, kind of couldn't catch it cleanly, tried to lay it up with the left hand. It got blocked by Tyrese Maxey. Who knows if it would have gone in anyway because it was in a rush, and there were a lot of bodies around him, but a great play by Buddy Hield to even give the Warriors an opportunity to maybe win the game at the buzzer. It ultimately, though, gets blocked. Warriors lose 99-98 in heartbreaking fashion. Amazing they were even in this game in the first place. But that was Steve Kerr post-game reacting to it all. Really quick before I go back to something that Steve Kerr said, I want to play it again, and we can really break it down, just one portion of it. He did talk about very, very briefly, he was asked, have you talked to Draymond? If you missed maybe a portion of the game or you're just tuning in here for Warriors Wrap-Up, first of all, appreciate you tuning in on 95.7 The Game. Mark Randy with you. Draymond did leave in the first half with what looked like, I thought it was a right ankle. Now, he had been dealing with a right mid-foot sprain. It had been bothering him early in the season, so it was probably related to that, but as he was, fighting for position in low or down low, he kind of got rolled up on that foot, And it looked like kind of a classic ankle roll, but maybe there was something else that got tweaked in there. The Warriors are calling it a right foot, just a right foot injury, and they ruled him out with that at halftime. So Draymond Green did not play the entire second half, and the update from Steve Kerr was, I haven't talked to him, so no update from Steve Kerr on Draymond Green. I want to play this quick portion, though, of Steve Kerr again. I believe it was Anthony Slater of ESPN who asked him the question, essentially kind of hearkening back to Tuesday night versus OKC when the Warriors got down big in that game as well. And part of the reason why they came back and had a chance to win, really these last two games have kind of followed similar story types and similar storylines, I should say. Part of the reason why the Warriors got back in that game on Tuesday versus OKC was Pat Spencer. But what happened at the 4-minute mark was with the Warriors down 4, Pat Spencer gets subbed out. And he was doing a lot of the scoring for the Warriors in that fourth quarter. And it was, you could just tell. If you are in tune with the Warrior fan base, you could tell that decision by Steve Kerr, the second he made it, was going to be whether it's unpopular or popular, a big moment in this basketball game. You could tell it was going to be a lightning rod for conversation. The next day here on 95.7, the game yesterday was almost entirely about that decision. You could just tell. And Steve Kerr knew that as well, I'm sure. Now, does he care? No, but I'm sure that he knew. So that's the backdrop of what tonight was. Similar thing kind of plays out. Some of the Warriors, more proven players, the guys that have been given more opportunity, and for the most part have earned that opportunity, right? Podziemski is a much more proven NBA player than Pat Spencer is. They struggle for the most part, and I'm singling out Podziemski. He's not alone in the struggles. Almost everybody that played in the first quarter was awful. I'm just singling out Podziemski because that's the easy one-to-one comparison, Podziemski and Pat Spencer, because they play the same position. They were subbed for each other end of the game on Friday, and when Podziemski came in, he missed a 3, then committed a turnover, largely was good in that game, but you get the idea. So Steve Kerr presented with a somewhat similar problem or question in this game. And what did he do? He played Pat Spencer the entire fourth quarter. Every second, the full 12 minutes of that fourth quarter, Pat Spencer was on the floor, and Podziemski and Kuminga both did not play a single second in that fourth quarter. So Steve Kerr was asked by Anthony Slater, what went into that decision to stick with Pat Spencer tonight after you did not do that on Tuesday versus OKC?
Tonight was a no-brainer. You know, the other night was a tricky decision, but tonight was obvious. Pat was just incredible out there and controlled the game, and he's just about the right stuff. You know, it's organizationally, you know, you just want to stand for something. You know, you want to have an identity, and it's got to be about, you know, competitive spirit and just playing together and competing, and that's what was so beautiful about what that group did down the stretch.
That is a hell of a quote by Steve Kerr. That is a hell of a quote. When asked why you stuck with Pat Spencer, he says, quote, "Tonight was a no-brainer." And by the way, that says as much about Pat Spencer as it does about the other guy. Because when Steve Kerr was asked on Tuesday why he subbed out Pat Spencer in favor of Podziemski, one of the reasons, and I would argue the number one reason was, and I'm pretending to be Steve Kerr here for a second, he said essentially, well, Pods was playing really well that game. He had a good game. So part of the reason why tonight was a no-brainer was, again, one, Pat Spencer was very good, and he earned it. He he definitely earned it Tuesday as well, but was not given the reward. But part of the reason why he was not given the reward is because the other option was playing good basketball. Tonight, not the case. So that, quote, "tonight was a no-brainer" from Steve Kerr has as much to do with Podziemski's poor play as it does Pat Spencer's good play. He also then talked about, he said that Pat Spencer is about the right stuff. And at that point, he's talking about competitive spirit. He later on said, organizationally, you want to stand for something. Like, these are philosophical things that Steve Kerr is basing this decision off of. And it is a guy that's willing to hustle, to do the gritty stuff, to run 24/7 up and down the floor, to show a competitive spirit and a competitive fire, to care that you're getting your ass kicked out there, and to show up as a result. That to me feels like as praiseworthy of Pat Spencer as possible, but also as, oh man, this is bad news for some of the others. And this is exactly what I think all of us saw in that first half. What all of us saw in that first half was, do these guys care? Do they care? You're down Steph, you're down Jimmy, you lose Draymond in the first half, and frankly, you know what? There's a lot of Warrior fans out there who probably think in their mind at that point, you know what, all right, like if you lose, like it's not the end of the world. You're down your 2-3 best players. Like you lose this basketball game, it's not over. Like we're not jumping off the bandwagon if you lose this game, but at least show some fight. At least show that you care. And the first half, specifically that first quarter, you did not see it. Like, let's listen to this again. Here's Steve Kerr one more time. Why'd you stick with Pat tonight, Steve?
Tonight was a no-brainer. You know, the other night was a tricky decision, but tonight was obvious. Pat was just incredible out there and controlled the game, and he's just about the right stuff. You know, it's organizationally. You know, you just want to stand for something. You know, you want to have an identity, and it's got to be about, you know, competitive spirit and just playing together and competing, and that's what was so beautiful about what that group did down the stretch.
Why did Pat Spencer play today? It really just boils down to, well, I want to reward the guys that show the kind of competitive spirit that we stand for as an organization. That is a compliment to Pat, and it is one of the biggest insults that Steve could publicly give to the others. He's saying Pat cares, Pat's competing, Pat's trying hard. The guys that I put him in over aren't. And look, I've been talking a lot about Podziemski. I think he's kind of getting the brunt of it right now because Pat is the guy, like the one-for-one comp who plays his position. This is also a Jonathan Kuminga issue. This is also an issue for a number of players on that Warriors roster. I know a lot of people like to say, well, Steph didn't play today. Of course, Draymond struggled and then left the game at halftime. I think he's actually dealing with something with that right foot. So, you know, who knows exactly. But there's a lot of people that deserve some of the criticism that I think that is headed their way. However, what I will single out, and there was this specific moment in the first quarter. Let me make sure I find the exact moment. Here it was. About midway through the first quarter, the Sixers are in the middle of that 22-0 run, right? It was 5-5. They go on a 22-0 run, and they take that 27-5 lead. And at that point, I'm thinking this game's over. You're probably thinking this game's over. I was sitting out there in our little lobby area here at 95.7 The Game, watching the game on the big screen. Lucas Alexander, who produces the afternoon show here at 95.7 The Game. And I'm sitting there and I'm basically going, I think this game's over. And Lucas was the one guy out there who was like, nah, like, it's not over. Now, I don't know if he was joking, but he was the one guy who I heard, whether it was on Warriors Twitter, whether it was here at the station, whether it was anywhere else, whether it was buddies texting me, he was the only guy who said anything other than this game's over. And I did not believe it. But anyway, middle of that run, 22-0 Sixers run to take a 5-5 tie to a 27-5 Philly lead. Warriors have the ball in the half court early in the shot clock. They're just kind of getting into their offensive set, whatever the call was. Who knows? Doesn't really matter. Jonathan Kuminga has the ball on the wing and kind of lazily passes to Melton, top of the key. Just lazy, expecting that that's going to be, not expecting, knowing that that's where the ball has to go for the offensive set. Like it's his responsibility in that spot to get the ball to Melton, top of the key. So not saying that he was doing the wrong thing or making the wrong pass, but it was just like going through the motions, not taking into account where the defense is, and just, all right, I'm supposed to pass the ball here, I'm going to pass the ball here. And not seeing that Tyrese Maxey is lurking. He's waiting for that pass. He knows where that pass is going. He knows the ball is going to Melton to begin the offensive set and to get into the play. And Tyrese Maxey, quick as hell, jumps it, tips the ball away, steals, corrals it, and one layup. He drew the foul on Melton, not on Kuminga. Melton was trying to, force a miss, and he probably should just let Tyrese go, give him the 2 points, cut your losses, don't commit a foul, don't give him the and one. He ultimately gives him the and one. It was not Melton's fault, the turnover, though. It was all on Kuminga. And this is a small thing, and maybe I'm alone here, and you could call me crazy. Give me a call, shoot me a text, let me know on the YouTube chat. YouTube.com/957thegame. You can join in there. Everything we do on YouTube, powered by First NorCal Credit Union. For a low-rate auto loan, apply online or just ask for First NorCal financing at the dealer. 888-957-9570 to call or to text. After that and one by Tyrese Maxey, which again came after a really, really lazy Kuminga turnover. And he's not the only one that committed that tonight, by the way. There was a number of guilty Warriors. Kuminga is one of them. Kuminga, bad pass, lazy pass, Maxey, fast break bucket, and one foul on Melton. It's Maxey, Melton, and Kuminga under the basket, kind of in the aftermath of the layup by Maxey. Maxey kind of gets approached by his teammates, and he's got a big smile on his face. He says something, and he chuckles. He laughs. He's happy. He just got an and one, a steal and an and one. He should be happy. And then the camera kind of cuts, or not cuts, but pans, and Kuminga comes into focus. And Kuminga is standing shoulder to shoulder with Maxey, and he's got a giant smile on his face. A giant smile on his face. And look, I might be looking into this too much, and let me know if I'm crazy. That upset me. That upset me. You just committed a terrible turnover. And again, this is not a thing that was just solely a Kuminga issue tonight. This was a lot of issues tonight. I was spending a lot of time talking about Podziemski. Frankly, probably going a little too hard on Podziemski than I should be. This is what Steve Kerr's talking about when he's talking about competitive spirit. And as an organization, you want to stand for something, right? You just commit a turnover. You give up an and one, you're in the middle of a 22-0 run, and you got a giant smile on your face. I want somebody to be upset. I don't want somebody that's happy and fine with the way that the play is going on the court in that moment. Like, that rubbed me the wrong way. I did not like that. Like, wipe that smile off your face. Things are going bad, not just for you, but for the team. And Steve Kerr then postgame again saying this about Pat Spencer and why he kept Pat Spencer and why Pat's played every second of the fourth quarter. Here's how Steve Kerr answered that question.
Tonight was a no-brainer. The other night was a tricky decision, but tonight was obvious. Pat was just incredible out there and controlled the game, and he's just about the right stuff. It's organizationally, you just want to stand for something. You want to have an identity, and it's got to be about competitive spirit and just playing together and competing, and that's what was so beautiful about what that group did down the stretch.
And I have a hard time not drawing a through line from the way he's talking about Pat Spencer, and the question was about Pat, and it ultimately kind of included the entire kind of closing group, which included Post, and it included Hield at times, and Melton, and others. Quentin Post was out there. The one the Warriors went to specifically, at times it was also Will Richard, but there was like a group of 6 that played in closing minutes, and there were some ins and outs. It was Will Richard, it was Melton, Hield, Post, Pat Spencer, and Guy Santos. That was the group of 6 that played basically all of the closing minutes, other than some offense-defense subs late. But that was the group of 6 that closed. Again, there were a couple of different combinations. Hield out, Melton in, and then Melton in, or pardon me, it was Hield in, Melton out, then Melton back in, and it was Richard who sat down. But it was essentially that group of 6. That was a compliment to Pat Spencer specifically, but then to the other 5 in that group as well. I have a hard time not drawing that through line from that group of 6 to the others, and on the other end of that through line is y'all didn't carry that same kind of competitive spirit, that same kind of fire, the thing that Steve Kerr says organizationally you want to stand for something, and that something is just care. caring. And I don't think we really saw it from those others. And, it's one, the Warriors have had these games in the past. And really quick, before I continue here on 95.7 The Game, I do want to remind you that you're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ, FM, and HD1 San Francisco, and Odyssey Sports Station, and the home of the Golden State Warriors and Valkyries, always live on the free Odyssey app, coming to you live from the Laughing Monk Studios. It's one thing if you're the Warriors and you're led by Steph Curry and Draymond Green and Jimmy Butler, and even in years past, right, when Klay Thompson was here, and even going back to the KD years, you got KD here, you just have a stinker, and maybe it's your third game in 4 nights, and you're on the road, and you're tired, or whatever the circumstance is. Really, it doesn't matter all that much. But you can kind of sense when the guys care or not, right? Draymond has kind of been under fire at times in the past for saying it's hard for him, and he's also talking, I think, about the team in general, but it's hard for him to get up for, I think he brought up OKC, because back in that moment, OKC was not good, but any below average to bad team, say Charlotte, it's hard to get up for a Tuesday night game in Charlotte, right? It's not ideal, but you can understand why, right? Especially guys as accomplished as Steph and Draymond and even Jimmy, although Jimmy hasn't won a title, but he's a very accomplished player in this league. It's easier to understand that. But when you get that kind of lack of fire and just general feeling like somebody's maybe not caring or going hard or really hair on fire trying to win this basketball game, and you get that from some of your youngsters, that's a problem. That's a major. You have not earned that right to take a night off, to take a game off. If you're playing, and you should get that kind of effort 24/7. You have not earned the right to take a night off. We might not like it, but, honestly, Steph, Draymond, Jimmy, at times they've earned that right? The others have not. Al Horford has earned that right at times. The others have not. You have to earn that. That, to me, felt like what that decision was from Steve Kerr. And frankly, it's pretty disappointing, specifically from Podziemski and Kuminga. Now, what they do with Pat Spencer's minutes going forward is really, really interesting. Let's hear from Pat Spencer, by the way. Pat Spencer also spoke postgame in Philadelphia after the Warriors fell to the Sixers 99-98. Pat Spencer, let's see, on the final turnover, because Pat was the player that inbounded the ball. On that last one, it was, so let's actually rewind for a sec. Let me get my bearings here as I try to remember the craziness that ensued at the end of that basketball game. So Warriors up by 1, 98-97 with 34 seconds left. Melton drives, tries to finish at the rim, can't. Guy Santos tips the ball and initially called off of Guy, and that fight for the offensive rebound. The Warriors challenge it. It gets overturned. It's off Edgecombe. Warriors get the ball back with 14 seconds left, still up by 1. Warriors then call their final timeout that they got back because their challenge was successful. Because they couldn't get the ball in, so they were able to call that timeout. They then inbound to Quentin Post, who caught it, then lost it, but a foul was called. But in the ensuing little scramble after he lost the ball, he did recover the basketball, but it was initially called a foul. The Sixers, though, kind of strangely challenged it, even though if they did get the successful overturn of that call, they were not going to get the ball because Post recovered the loose ball anyway. Anyway, they challenged, and it was a successful challenge. No foul, but still Warriors basketball, and the Sixers, importantly, retained that last timeout as well. What they did do by winning that challenge was force another inbound play by the Warriors, which ultimately came back to hurt the Warriors because Melton and Hield came together in the middle part of the court, and it looked like, I thought, Pat Spencer was trying to inbound the ball to Melton, who was open. Hield kind of was in the same spot, brought his defender to him, and Edgecombe ripped the ball away, and very quickly the Sixers call a timeout. So they get the ball back with 8 seconds left, down by 1. Maxey, right wing, dribbles with Melton draped all over. Melton gets a piece of it on the contest, results in an air ball, which is kind of unfortunate because that led to the offensive rebound by Edgecombe, who had the steal, and then he gets the offensive rebound and the putback. Sixers go up by 1. Warriors, no timeouts. So Hield smartly races in to get the pass on the inbound and throws it down the court for D'Anthony Melton, who kind of has a hard time corralling it. Tries to shovel it up towards the rim, gets blocked by Maxey, game over. That was the final sequence there at that point. Here is Pat Spencer talking about that final turnover where he was inbounding the ball and it was ripped away by Edgecombe. Here's Pat Spencer explaining what happened in that moment.
I got a little jumbled up. Had no timeouts left, so it felt like I didn't have a guy open. Felt like Melt was popping open, but it was just poor timing with Buddy trying to flash to the ball. Was on count number 4 in my head, so I had to get off of it. I felt like the best option at that time was Melt popping to space. Just didn't have any timeouts left.
Yeah, I think Pat's absolutely right. I mean, I saw Melton flash open. Buddy was kind of in the area. I think that drew more defense toward him, and as a result, it's a turnover. Edgecombe gets the ball. And then, of course, we know how it went from there. Air ball by Maxey. Great defense. I think it was actually a block by Melton, so I don't know if you call that an air ball. It's just a block, but it resulted in the ball not hitting rim. And then it led to the offensive board by Edgecombe and the putback, and then the Warriors can't get a bucket on the other end, and they lose this game by 1, 99-98. What a play. What a play by Edgecombe. He had both the big plays in the final 10 seconds of the game, the steal, and then the offensive rebound and the putback, and that helped the Sixers win this basketball game. Let's see. Pat Spencer, what changed in the second half? Here's Pat talking about what went well for the Warriors in the second half.
Turned him over a few times. Felt like the second half, the ball was just moving a lot better. We were able to get downhill, create some second chance opportunities on the offensive glass. Just the compete level was way higher in that second half.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut Pat Spencer off there. Yeah, the compete level was way higher in that second half, and that's exactly what Steve Kerr had to say. Absolutely. Let's go out to the phone lines here. 888-957-9570. Dubs fall in a heartbreaking one in Philly. A really strange basketball game. They ultimately lose this one by 1 point. They're now 11-12 on the year. Miguel and Hayward wants to talk about Pat Spencer and that fourth quarter. What's up, Miguel? You're on Warriors Wrap-Up on 95.7 The Game. What do you got?
What's up, you guys? Warriors! Hey, man, that was a hell of a game. At the end of the day, we lost, but, man, you got to give it up to all the young cats that are playing ball. Santos, Post, and the janitor, a.k.a. Pat Spencer, man. You know, we got to sign him to an extension right away. I love his jersey number 61. They explained it, why he wears number 61. I would have never thought that in a million years. But if I'm Curry, I got to feel happy that, going forward in the future now, that he might be the point guard for the Warriors. People can laugh at me right now like if they want fans and everything like that. But, he's an old cat. He's 29 years old. I asked Google about it. But, hey, that was a hell of a game. I can't say nothing about the coach. He trusted his players. And you know what? At the end of the day, we got heart. We showed that, we could still win this game. But, hey, it's up to the next game. And go Warriors. Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate the call, Miguel. So about Pat Spencer, who Miguel is ready to crown as the next Warriors point guard, and they need to have him do an extension. They need to get him on the roster full-time first because he is a two-way player right now, which means he can only be active, not play in, but be active for 50 games this season. He has been active for each of the Warriors' first 23 games. So he has used up nearly half of his availability this season. He's played 23 of 50 games that a two-way player is available for. Again, under the rules of the two-way contract. There are some issues. Because the Warriors roster is currently full at 15 players, and they're up against the hard cap at the second apron. They cannot exceed the second apron in terms of total cap allotments to their roster. So how would they be able to assign Pat Spencer to a full-time deal and still, be under the second apron? I don't have all the math in front of me. I'd have to get a calculator out and really focus in on the numbers. So I can't do that for you right now. What I would say is, one, this probably is one of the reasons why it took them so long to sign Seth Curry. He could have signed, I believe the date was November 13th, was when Seth Curry's prorated veteran minimum contract became allowable on the Warriors roster, given what that number was and the amount of space the Warriors had under the second apron. The longer that they waited, again, they waited 2 or 3 weeks more than they had to in order to give them more space, more contract room, more space on the hard cap to do other maneuvers in the future. And one of those maneuvers might be to convert Pat Spencer's two-way contract to a full-time contract. And the other thing is you have currently a full roster. So as it stands right now, even if the money worked, you could not convert Pat Spencer to a full-time contract unless you got rid of somebody else. So the Warriors, if they are to do that, and Steve Kerr said, quote, it'd be nice to get him on the roster. He then followed up and said it's tough, though. There are some issues, and this is what I'm trying to explain. The roster is full, and money is limited. So what do? Well, what I think is becoming pretty clear is the Warriors would really benefit from a consolidation trade, which is, 3 players for 2 players, or 3 players for 1 player, or 2 players for 1 player. Trade away 2 and get 1. Trade away more players than you're bringing back. Find a team where you can save a little bit of money from there as well. Get that 1 or 2 players back. Have an open roster spot. Use that savings potentially to then convert Pat Spencer's contract from two-way to full-time. That would be my read on the situation. But it does seem pretty clear that the Warriors could use more Pat Spencer and the ability to use him over the course of the entire season. And what I will also say, my read on this situation, the fact that he's he's been available in every single game this year, is that the Warriors aren't too scared to run up to that 50-game limit, because if they felt concerned that Pat Spencer, 1, is needed, and 2, might run out of availability, and that they have no way to fix that, to remedy that, to make him a full-time player and give him a full-time contract and avoid his two-way status and the limitations that come with that, they would, in games where they felt like he wasn't going to play, they would make him inactive, and those games then would not count against the 50 games that you're allowed to be active for as a two-way player. And because they have not done that, makes me feel like, considering the player that he is and what Steve Kerr is saying about him, 1, I think that they feel like they want him around as much as possible. And because they're kind of freely giving up those available games, even when he's not playing, they feel confident that they can find a way to convert him to a full-time contract. That's my read. I don't have any inside info. That would be my read on the situation, that they feel good about their ability to, in some way, consolidate and make way for Pat Spencer on the full-time roster. We will see how that all plays out. But that's my read on the spot. If they were so worried and they needed Pat Spencer in a game here and a game there, when they felt like they wouldn't play him, in order to save the games that he would be available to them for, they would have made him inactive for some of these games. They have not done that. He has been active and been available and therefore counted against his 50-game cap all 23 times the Warriors have played this year. So we'll see how that goes in the future. Okay. A few more minutes left with you here on Warriors Wrap-Up. Let's go to Cal in San Francisco, who wants to weigh in. What's up, Cal? What do you got?
Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm a San Francisco native, but I'm a Clippers fan here. Just curious I'm curious about your thoughts on the Warriors window, especially with teams like OKC in the league. Is it closing? It seems like it's closing fast. And if you agree with that, what should the Warriors do moving forward, high level?
Cal, it's a fair question. I think comparing yourself to OKC is just absolutely the wrong thing to do. OKC is the best team in the NBA. It's not particularly close. They're coming off of a championship, and they seem to be as eager as ever to prove to everybody that they're even better. And they've been unhealthy basically the entire season. Did OKC play again today? I don't think they did. Let me confirm that really quick. OKC played, of course, on Tuesday versus the Warriors and won. No, they play tomorrow. They're in Dallas, or they're hosting Dallas, hosting Clay and Cooper Flag and the Mavericks. That would set up for another OKC win, but we shall see. They're 21-1, OKC is. So if you're comparing yourself to them, going to be really tough. Going to be really, really tough to do, to come away with any sort of positive, result of that conversation. Now, if you want to look at some of the rest of the West, I was very high on the Warriors entering this season. I'm not ready to fully back off of that. They're 11-12. It has not been a great start. The schedule has been very tough. I know it hasn't been as bad of late. I still would say over the course of the first month and a half, we're approaching kind of a couple months in this season, close to 2 months of the season. The Warriors have probably had the most difficult travel schedule so far in the NBA. It's going to get better, but I did not have them at 11-12 at this point. I had them probably somewhere around, 15 and whatever that would be. They've played 23. If I can do that math, 15-8, something like that. And then that seems a little too egregious. Maybe 13-10. 13-10 was probably more where I felt like the Warriors could be 23 games in. They're not there. They have been disappointing so far. They've let a handful of games go that they should not have. In Milwaukee, without Giannis, in Indiana, down basically all of their starters other than Pascal Siakam, those should be games that you won. And if you just win both those games instead of 11-12, you are 13-10. That's the difference. So they're not that far off from being where I think a lot of us thought maybe they could be, but they're not there. There's no doubt. And they deserve blame for that. They're not there. But there is still a lot of time to take steps forward. Now, is it going to take a move or two to get to the level that you need to be to compete with let's just forget OKC for a second, to compete with the 16-5 Lakers, to compete with the 14-5 Rockets, with the 15-6 Spurs, 15-6 Nuggets, 14-8 T-Wolves? There's probably not a lot of Warrior fans out there who feel great about any of those matchups right now. Is it going to take a move? Possibly. Is it going to take Podziemski taking a leap forward? Kuminga playing like he was early in the season? Hield playing like he did tonight? Post playing more like he did tonight? You need a lot of things to kind of stack in your direction in order for that to happen. Or you're going to need a move. And they haven't had that happen just yet. All right. I think that's just about going to wrap things up here on Warriors Wrap Up tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in. This was a weird one. It was a rough one. It was an ugly one in a lot of ways. I was ready to come in here and go scorched earth for this basketball game, not because of a win and a loss, but because of the effort. And then the second half happened, and at least we got the positivity of Pat Spencer and D'Anthony Melton, who I still am very, very confident that as long as he's healthy, which I get is a big if, as long as he's healthy, he's going to have a pretty positive impact on this Warrior team. At least we got that positivity from the second half. Guy Santos and his energy. Guy's energy was great in this game. That spin move on the baseline reverse layup that he hit, man, that was pretty. Post hit a couple of open threes, big open threes in the fourth quarter. Some things to be happy about, but a lot of things to be frustrated by as well. This was a mixed bag for sure, and it was two extremes. It was how incredibly ugly that first quarter was specifically, and then how fun that fourth quarter was. It ultimately ended in heartbreak with a 99-98 loss because of a putback on an air ball at the buzzer by the rookie VJ Edgecombe after he stole the inbound pass by Pat Spencer in the final seconds to even give the Sixers a chance to win that basketball game. Man, what a rough one for the Warriors. They lose this one 99-98. They're now 11-12 as we talked about, and they're looking at gut check time, because up next, it's a really tough opponent in Cleveland on Saturday. Cleveland is not off to anywhere near as good of a start as they had last year when they were the leaders of the pack in the East all season long. They're 13-10. Cleveland is. That's going to be a tough matchup. And watch out for Donovan Mitchell. He might put 40 on this Warrior team. Great to have Melton back, but there's no doubt defense against perimeter ball-handling guards, it is a challenge for this Warrior team. That's coming up on Saturday at 4:30. I will be back for Warriors Live and a wrap-up on that day, which means our coverage begins at 3:30 here on 95.7 The Game. Then the Chicago Bulls in Chicago on Sunday, so a back-to-back, 4 o'clock on that Sunday. No Niners football on Sunday because they got a bye week, which means we can focus on the Warriors on this Sunday. That's coming up on Sunday in Chicago, a back-to-back, and that's the end of this 3-game road trip. The Warriors desperately need to win at least one of these next 2. You do not want to lose 4 in a row, all 3 on this trip, and go to 11-14 with a home date versus Ant Edwards and the T-Wolves coming up next. You got to win one of these next 2. And Cleveland is really good, and Chicago is night 2 of a back-to-back, and you're down Steph in both games. Challenging, but you got to find a way to get one. Maybe Jimmy Butler back on Saturday. He was questionable today. We don't yet know about Draymond's status going forward. He left the game with a right foot issue in the first half in this one. We'll see. Will it be a skeleton crew? Will it be a Pat Spencer-led Warriors team on Saturday? We're going to find out, and we'll talk you through all of it here on 95.7 The Game coming up on Saturday. All right, that'll do it for us tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in. For Cam Williams behind the glass, for Ken Luttrell cutting up all that sound and making it sound good. Thank you so much to you guys, and thanks to all of you for tuning in all night here on 95.7 The Game. My name is Mark Randy, signing off. I will talk to you for Warriors Live at 3:30 on Saturday. Until then, have a great night, and better luck next time for the Golden State Warriors.
The Detroit Lions look like they could be going 1-0 today. Amon-Ra St. Brown